Reducing coal plant capacity in Asia by a third could cut emissions by up to 1 billion tonnes each year. Well, that's roughly the same as taking 220 million cars worldwide off the roads. Our figures from a new Singapore report released on the sidelines of the UN Climate Conference, or COP30. Rachel Teng reports from where the action is.
It was adopted in a different city and in different times, but 10 years after the Paris Agreement gave hope for a better climate, the world is lagging behind in its goals. Even if all current national commitments to cut emissions are met, the world is still on track for global warming of up to 2.5 degrees Celsius, well above the Paris goal of 1.5 degrees. To move the needle, Singapore is helping to speed up the early retirement of coal plants in Asia. Now that's as these plants make up 1/3 of the region's greenhouse gas emissions. When a plant is closed early, the savings in emissions can be sold as transition credits to emitters.
About 1/3 of the coal plant capacity across 15 Asian markets could be eligible to generate high integrity credits, potentially reducing emissions by up to 1 gigaton annually. That's 1 billion tonnes each year.
Mr. Menon, who is the former Managing Director of the Monetary Authority of Singapore, or MAS, was releasing the first findings of a final report from an international coalition called Traction. It was convened by the MAS 2 years ago. Singapore is also pushing to close the monetary shortfall to reach Paris Agreement goals through FastP, a blended finance platform that uses public funds to attract private capital for global decarbonization projects. Mr. Menon says the world is about $1.5 trillion short. Over a fifth of the $510 million raised under one of FastP's funds will go to 3 infrastructure investments in Asia. They're set out to cut 1 million tonnes of emissions each year. Last week, Singapore also released a shared framework on how to grow voluntary carbon markets under a coalition with Kenya and the United Kingdom.
This is the first government-backed international framework that provides cross-jurisdictional guidance for credible corporate use of carbon credits. I'm pleased to announce that 10 national governments have endorsed these shared principles and that a few more countries have agreed to join the coalition.
These countries include Canada, Luxembourg, and Peru. Even as it continues to push ahead with its initiatives, Singapore is urging nations to submit their nationally determined contributions, or NDCs, for 2035. That's as too few countries have done so, including some of the biggest emitters.
No party, no country, big or small, can do this alone. The Brazilian COP presidency has called this the global multi-role, collective action through shared purpose and mutual support that will transform communities. And we want to bring this spirit to the Singapore Pavilion through collective commitment, collective progress, and collective action.
Ms. Fu says that now more than ever, the world needs to show strong collective commitment on climate action, as no country will be able to insulate itself from rising temperatures. Rachel Teng, CNA, Belém, Brazil.